Kirei Kotomine from the Fate franchise is one of the most underrated characters in fiction ever. I'm standing on this fucking ground. He is underrated as fuck. A lot of you people just don't understand him. You don't understand the fundamentals of the character. Frankly, Kirei is not a character that you look at their actions and go, yeah, that was the right decision. No. Kirei, everything he does is deplorable. He's a fucking horrible person. In fact, the world would be way better if he didn't exist and had never existed. On a base level, Kirei wants to be like everybody else. You know, through the entirety of Zero, he was wishing, why can't I be the one who feels joy because of this? Why can't I do this, that? That's his origin. But in Fate Stay Night, that's where he really comes out of his shell. You see Kirei on his quest to see Angermanyu awaken, so he can really understand what a pure version of what he deems himself looks like and how it acts. All of this shit. Because he sees himself in Angermanyu. It's this thing that is made to be born evil. It's going to come out of the womb being this terrible, terrible thing. And Kirei's entire goal is to see, hey, will it feel bad? Will it be born fucking evil? Will it... he wants to see. He wants to observe it. He doesn't know what's going to happen, but he wants to observe it because to him, Angermanyu being born is the same as him being born. He relates it, right? Again, he sees himself in Angermanyu. To say that Angermanyu never should have been born would be the same to say that Kirei should never have been born, right? That's how he sees it, and to a certain extent, it's true. I mean, frankly, the world would be a better place if Kirei was never born. Legitimately. To sit there and accept that this creature shouldn't be brought into the world is effectively that in Kirei's head. And that is brilliant. Another relatively untouched theme/message is that, hey, Kirei hasn't been forsaken by God despite being, by nature, this deplorable guy, right? He's fucking terrible, but despite that, he still has his clerical abilities, and he still preaches the fucking gospel. He still has not been forsaken by God. Now, obviously, there's probably some plot developments or lore developments that explain that, but at the end of the day, I don't fucking care. When you're looking at Fate Stay Night, you should be looking at it as an isolated piece of fucking media. You shouldn't be going like, oh, but actually, in a Fate Grand Order, shut the fuck up! Anyway, despite what the lore implications might be, or how it may have developed, like, you know, how they're making Tsukihime remake fucking, they're Chaos Champion, the game is too strong, Sorry, I'm so mad about that. Anyway, despite what the lore implications might be, from an isolated perspective, that is beautiful. It's fucking amazing. And the fact that it's never really brought up directly, yet it's this unspoken fucking message, and it's just, it really, really, really kind of hits me hard. Kirei being this unspoken character is what makes me like him so much, you know? It's not all just thrown in your fucking face. You have to kind of observe him, his mannerisms, you know, just the basic facts about him to get a true understanding and grasp on him, right? And I think that's why a lot of people don't realize how deep his character really goes, or they don't appreciate him enough. And I think Kirei deserves more love. You know? Kirei deserves way more love. Hell, I probably don't even fucking understand him fully. You know, this is just from my observations. You know, I'm not looking at any I'm not Googling, what is the meaning of the Kirei? But after my personal experiences with Fate Stay Night, this is kind of what I've gathered. And the fact that, A, people aren't gathering this shit is fucking bothering me. Like, bro, come on. Kirei's so good. You gotta appreciate him. And B, a lot of Kirei content was cut. It just was. It was cut. You know, they had to make room for other shit in the anime. You know, they couldn't have all the Kirei goodness, so they cut a lot of content. And Kirei monologues like a motherfucker in the visual novel. I mean, this motherfucker talks and talks and talks. Now, I love every minute of Kirei's feels, you know, but I understand why they didn't include it in the anime. That being said, a lot of important shit pertaining to him is just not present in the animes. And, you know, most people don't go and read the visual novel, and you shouldn't have to, but for Kirei, it really kind of does him an injustice. One beef I had with the anime, and especially the Heaven's Feel movies, is that they entirely cut the thematic parallels between Kirei and Shiro. Now, okay, not entirely, I mean, the nuances are there, but for the most part, it's not spoken about. It's not brought up. Now, in the visual novel, it's made very clear in that final fight between Kirei and Shiro that they've come to a mutual understanding almost, you know? They're two sides of the same coin. Shiro gets joy, or he feels valued by saving people, whereas Kirei gets his joy from hurting people. They are almost exactly the same in that respect. It's just that they've gone down these different roads, and you know, you even have Shiro admitting that he likes Kirei as a person. He understands it. I think that it's a fair assumption to say that Shiro is a sociopath with survivor's guilt, and that Kirei is a psychopath. If you weren't a part of YouTube when everybody was calling each other sociopaths, let me explain it. Sociopaths are made, psychopaths are born. A psychopath would be what Angermine was coming out to be. A sociopath is someone who goes through something traumatic when they're really young, and their brain goes, you know what, empathy isn't all that good. You shouldn't feel it. Same thing with other emotions. There's a whole spectrum to it, which is why it's now classified as antisocial personality disorder on both fronts. But either way, they both fall under this antisocial personality disorder diagnosis. Absolutely. Anybody who says otherwise just doesn't understand the fundamentals of both characters. This is not a Shiro video, though. So, as much as I would love to talk about him and how brilliant he is, that can wait for another video. Okay? Bye-bye. Go over there, Shiro. Okay, perfect. Now that he's out of the way, let's wrap this up. Kirei is really a tragic character. He was born to a priest and taught all these morals, taught how to be good, but it didn't work. It didn't get through to him because inside he was something entirely different. He had these urges. He didn't feel the empathy that most people do feel. But because of his teachings, he went down this road of priesthood. He went down this road of religion. A religion which preaches absolute good. And he believed it too. He believed himself to be evil, and he just bottled up these urges and condemned himself. He saw himself as awful. It's really sad when you think about it, but if he weren't born into that situation, maybe he could have turned out differently. Maybe he could have turned out like Shiro. You know, not every person with antisocial personality disorder turns out to be a serial killer. You know, in fact, most of them do not turn out that way. It's an affliction that with proper self-awareness, a good upbringing, and just help along the way generally, can actually be beneficial. You know, lots of CEOs and shit are absolutely sociopaths. Abso-fucking-lutely. But for Kirei, you know, he was turned into this fucking executioner. He was trained to be an executioner who goes and kills heretics. Like, obviously, he's not going to turn out well when he is a kid who needs this level of care to not turn out that way, right? Like, no shit he ended up like this. Now, this doesn't alleviate any of the blame for his actions. Kirei torturing orphans and shit is not great. I don't see that as a good act. But he was made. He wasn't born this awful. It was his situation that allowed him to turn out like this. Which is, again, part of the reason why he wants to see Angermine come into the world. Kirei is absolutely a bad person. He's the worst type of person ever. He's a contender for the worst person ever, period. But if you understand him, not necessarily relate to him, but just understand him and see why he's turned out this way, why he's taking his actions from his perspective, you know, if you can just understand him, then the character has accomplished its goal. I highly recommend at least like watching a YouTube video playing through the final fight between Kirei and Shiro, or some of the other Kirei monologues, because again, there's not really justice done in the anime to him. His character is almost entirely dissipated, and you don't understand him. If you came to any realization throughout this video, you got any new perspective, then I highly recommend going and checking that shit out, okay? It really changed my perspective after I moved on from the anime, and yeah, I recommend it for you too. I mean, you could also just read the visual novel, but it's like 120 hours, dude. You probably don't have the time for that. I mean, if you want to go for it, it's fucking awesome. That's about it for today, guys. I talked about everything I want to talk about. I could go on for like a fucking hour, but that's mainly what I wanted to cover today. So, thanks for watching. I hope we have a whole new platoon of Kirei fans. Not enough people appreciate this motherfucker. He's one of my favorite anime characters of all time. One of my favorite characters, period. Not even just from anime, because, you know, visual novel. But, yeah. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time. And if you thought this was a good video, drop me a sub, because I want to monetize, baby. Woo! Alright, bye-bye.